over. It's time for Gutbuster Radio. The legend T. James Logan talks with independent pro wrestling stars from around the world. Gutbuster Radio.
Now we're moving on to episode 2. Well, you know what? Episode 2, we're going to open up a guy I saw compete in Calgary and came out of nowhere for me and put on some of the most incredible high-flying, some of the most incredible athleticism I've seen. A guy from Hawaii at the time. I'm talking about Mr. Athletic, Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb, a former Olympian competing for Guam. Now, after a few runs in Hawaii, he is tearing up the California coast. He is becoming a name to watch and going so far as to having Dave Meltzer rate one of his matches at like a 4.5, something you don't even hear about these days. So folks, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Athletic, Jeff Cobb.
You're listening to Gutbuster Radio with the legend T. James Logan.
Gutbuster Radio.
Hey fans, welcome back to Gutbuster Radio. And I got a chance to talk to a guy I met a couple of years ago in Calgary, a guy who was competing a lot in Hawaii, although I've later found out he may not necessarily be a Hawaiian. I'm talking about Mr. Athletic, Jeff Cobb. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, sir. Very excited to be on.
Well, Jeff, you know what? First of all, where exactly are you from?
Well, it's a pretty interesting background. So, I was born and raised in Hawaii. My mom's side is from Guam, but I'm Filipino. So, yeah. So, I was born and raised in Hawaii. Lived there till roughly about middle school, and then we moved to Guam to take care of my grandmother, and went to high school there. And yeah, so I mean, if anybody asks me, it's usually a long, drawn-out story, but got a lot of twists and turns. So,
well, you know what?
Yeah, I don't mind telling it.
It's no more confusing than reading the Wikipedia version of Jeff Cobb. Trying to read that, I was much more confused.
Yeah. I don't know how people can put stuff up there, but I guess that's how it rolls. But
well, it was kind of weird because if you read that, according to them, Guam is part of the U.S., but it was a very confusing story up there. But anyways, at least you've got it a little bit more explained to us. Now, I also read, and I know you've told me this, you've also competed for the Olympics for Guam.
Yes. It was the 2004 Summer Olympic Games in Athens, Greece. And
I believe you're also the flag bearer?
Yeah, I got to hold the flag for the 2 laps around the stadium, and it was a great experience.
That's what I got to ask. I mean, a lot of people, it's hard enough to be an Olympian, but like a lot of people don't even ever get to hold the flag. I mean, how overwhelming was that?
Oh, it was great. My main thing was like I didn't want to drop it because I'll be the first person in history to drop it. But they gave us little over the shoulder flag holders. But you have a little time for a little segue story kind of thing.
It's go right ahead.
Oh, okay. So I was told in Russia there's a wrestler there, Alexander Karelin. He went undefeated for about 14 years, and he was the one that he's the guy that lost to Roland Gardner back in 2000. But the school I don't know if it's a myth or actually it's the legend of Alexander Karelin is he held the flag out in an outright position and just walked it for 2 laps. So I tried to do it, and I went about 100 yards, and I couldn't do it. So I tried. So that's all that matters.
Being a mat wrestler obviously is a lot of your training. Was there a lot of change that? Was it really hard to go from mat wrestling to professional wrestling?
Not necessarily. I mean, certain aspects of it was difficult. When I was competing in amateur wrestling, I never had to get the support of the crowd or whatever. It's like if I win, I win. I lose, I lose. But whereas I guess with the pro wrestling aspect, is a little bit more entertainment aspect of it now. So it's something that I didn't really grasp until later on in my career. But it's an interesting transition.
Is it a lot more physicality being a mat wrestler?
You know what's funny? I kind of tell this to everybody. Like the 10 years that I was doing amateur wrestling, the worst thing I got was like sprained fingers or sprained ankle. Like I've hurt a lot more in professional wrestling, as crazy as it sounds.
What makes you decide you want to become a professional wrestler?
Okay, so here's another funny story, and I feel really dumb sometimes telling it.
This should be good.
So anyway, I was a pro wrestling fan since I was a child. My older brother and my dad, we all watched it together. I used to do extra chores just so I could stay up late and watch primetime wrestling on TV or the WWF at the time. And like I couldn't stay up that late, but I'd do extra stuff here, and I'd be able to stay up and watch it. So when I got to high school, someone told me there's a wrestling team. I was like, oh, well, I've always wanted to do it, and I showed up one day, I got my physical, showed up the next day, and there was no ring, there was a mat, and a room, and sweaty guys. I had no idea what was going on. So that's how I ended up in amateur wrestling with professional wrestling.
That's kind of an opposite story to most people. They end up being so serious with mat wrestling and then converting. You kind of went the other way.
Yeah, I guess I did. Well, I mean, my first sport I ever played was basketball, but I realized I was too short, and I couldn't. Yeah, I was just too short, so I figured, wrestling, I'm pretty good at it. I'll stick with it.
Now, as your amateur wrestling careers started winding down, how did you get into the professional aspect? Where did you go train? How did you get started?
Well, it's funny because I went to college out in Missouri, the same college that Bobby Lashley went to, was Missouri Valley College. So I kind of like when I got there, and then that was the year that Bobby Lashley just debuted, the year. He was in, I believe it was OVW or the developmental system, and he debuted about like a year or so later, and I was like, is this the same guy I read on the internet? Like, this is the guy that got signed? And I took it as a sign from above that, I was supposed to do this, and there was actually, I learned to take bumps in college. There was a little club that loved professional wrestling, and they used to put on shows like maybe 2 or 3 times a year at the school and on the side of the dorm. Big production, because half of them were in the theater department, so big production, light sounds. No ring. It was a bedpost for the corners, and if they cut the grass, then your bumps would be a little bit stiffer than normal.
That's amazing.
And I unfortunately was not allowed to wrestle. Word got out to my coach, and he said, if you ever do that crap on the ground, I will pull your scholarship. So I said, good call, sir. And I was just a on-screen character, never wrestled.
Wow. Now, you eventually did get some training as a professional. Where did you go for that?
After college, I moved back to Hawaii. Another I got a lot of segues, I'm sorry. But,
it's okay.
Right after I graduated high school, I moved back to Hawaii for a short period of time, and I saw there was 2 wrestling companies running on local stations in Hawaii, and one of them was Lars Anderson. If you're familiar with that name. So I called him up. I was telling him, hey, I'm an amateur wrestler. I love pro wrestling. He's like, okay, well, if you can bring $3,000, and we can get you trained. Out of high school, like $3,000. So I started saving my money, and then we ended up moving back to Guam, and then I just went back into amateur wrestling. So flash forward to after I graduated college, I ended up moving back to Hawaii, and I said, I'm going to do it now that I'm here. So I got a degree, I got a good paying job, I want to do my dream. So at the time when I moved back, the second time, there was only one promotion running, and I didn't have a car at the time, so I borrowed a neighbor's bike, and I biked about 15 miles to go to the show. And I wanted to pay the door fee, went in, watched the show, and I was actually working I was doing personal training at the time, and I was like, some of these they work out at my gym. So the next day, one of them came in to drop off to work out, and I started chit-chatting with him about, I was like, hey, are you a wrestler? He's like, yeah. I came to the show on last Saturday. He's like, oh, cool. I was like, yeah, how do I sign up for it? Yeah, he got me the number for the promoter, and the rest is history.
Wow. How long did you train before you actually got into the ring?
Oh, like for my debut match?
Yeah.
A good 6 months.
And do you remember who that first opponent was?
I do, actually. It's another funny story. It was that company's anniversary show, and there was a match on the card. Because Hawaii has a lot of military guys, so we do get occasional workers that are in the military that end up in Hawaii, so they end up working for that company in Hawaii. This gentleman wanted a higher pay, and so our promoter told him, listen, we agreed upon this number, and he no-showed. And I'm sitting in there, sitting outside, like, la, la, la. And he's like, hey, Jeff, do you have your gear? I was like, I have my wrestling shoes. You don't have any gear? I was like, no, I didn't think I was going to debut. So my first actual pair of wrestling gear, I guess, was a hand-me-down from the promoter. So I debuted at the biggest show of the year, at their anniversary show, and yeah. And I actually do remember who my first match was. It was Jed Akuma, and he was one of the guys that also taught me some things.
Oh, wow. You spent some years, quite a few years in Hawaii wrestling, right? Is that correct?
Yes. I was there for about 3 years, and then 2012, our promoter was going on vacation to San Francisco, and he's like, well, if I'm going to be there, I might as well check out if there's any shows we can do. And the only show that was running that weekend he was up there was actually APW, Roland Alexander's promotion. And he got into contact with them, and he said, well, what do you think of the idea of having APW versus AZW Pacific Challenge? 3 matches, singles, tag, and singles, and 2 out of 3 who wins, And I was our champ in Hawaii at the time. I wrestled Timothy Thatcher, who was the APW champ at the time, and it was wonderful. And then I met the bookers and the promoter. I met Roland Alexander from Beyond the Mat, and the rest is history from there as well. So that's how I made my California connection.
You left Hawaii and you moved to California to continue your career. How has that been going up and down California?
It's so good. I really kick myself for not coming up here sooner. But I figured things happen for a reason, so I'm not gonna dwell on it too much. And I'm not gonna I find myself kicking myself saying, maybe I should move here sooner, but at the same time I don't spend all day thinking about why I didn't move here sooner, because I'm here now, so make the best of it now. So it's been great. The training has been the main reason why I moved up here was for the training, and the best training that I've had ever.
I'd like for the fans to get an idea of Jeff Cobb. You call yourself Mr. Athletic. What does that represent to you?
Well, I was given that name by a promoter. It was like one day I was in training, and he was like, "Well, can you do anything cool?" I was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, let me try a standing shooting star, and I hit it, and I landed. I was like, holy crap! And all the my trainer and all that were like, "Can you do it again?" And so I did it again. And can you do it one more time? So it wasn't luck. So I did it again for a third time. I was like, holy crap! So they're saying, hey, can you do it from the top rope? And I'm like, shoot, I never did gymnastics, so I said, screw it, crash pad, and I hit it 3 times in a row. And they're like, you know what? We're gonna call you Mr. Athletic, because I told them one of my favorite wrestlers growing up was Mr. Perfect. So there's a little take on Mr. Perfect.
You know what? You've hit a bit on the style. Your style tends to be a lot of hard-hitting mat stuff mixed with some really interesting, I wouldn't say high flying, but some very interesting strikes from the top rope. How would you describe your style?
You know what? I really like old school wrestling now. My trainer loves old school, or my trainer up in when I moved here in California, he turned me on to the UWF stuff up in Japan and older wrestling like with the Briscoes and he made me watch some Pat Patterson stuff, and I fell in love with it. So I switched my game up a little bit more ground based. Wear downs, and then if I need to, then I'll do some more high impact stuff and dig into my amateur wrestling bag of tricks or bag of throws, if you will. And, just kind of add it all together.
Well, you know what? You've obviously had some good opponents over the last while. Can you throw to me a few of the opponents who stuck out in your mind that have been giving you great matches that you really enjoyed working with?
Oh, definitely. Probably the best match I can think of right now, the first that comes to my mind is his name is Old School Oliver John. He's amazing talent, great wrestler, great psychologist. We wrestled back in December, and this is the first time that I've ever heard Dave Meltzer watched or reviewed our match, and he actually gave 4 4.25 stars.
Wow!
And I've never heard him say a 4+ stars in a while, so I was really honored with that. So that is probably my number one match that I have to date.
Can you also name a few opponents that you just want to throw out there that are just good guys to look out for?
I'm going on a tangent about one match, but I worked Timothy Thatcher a lot. I know he's been out of town this past month doing some stuff with CZW up on the East Coast. But yeah, Timothy Thatcher has been a really good rival of mine. I work a lot with Dave Dutra out here in California. Aaron Kratos, Brian Tannen. Those are some of the guys that I've gone to war with a few times out here. So very, very fun time.
Well, you've gone from a small area like in Hawaii, where you had a very tight fan base, and now you find yourself touring across California. A lot more different fans, obviously. Do you find them getting on the Jeff Cobb train as much?
When I first moved here, a lot of people, the only people that really knew me were the people that I actually met on 2 prior trips to California. So, I was some of the new companies are like, well, hey, I just moved here. I'd really love to get an opportunity to wrestle for you guys. So they brought me in, and it's been that, who's this guy? He's from Hawaii. What's he doing here? Is he staying? Is he leaving? So I've slowly built, through hard work and proving myself, I've gotten the support of the fan base, so I'm very happy about that.
So where do you see the future, or where would you like the future to go for Jeff Cobb?
When I was a kid, as an older person now, I really like watching the old NWA stuff and just Mid-South wrestling. But as a kid, my ultimate as a youth, and even up to now too, my ultimate goal is the WWE, or for me it's the WWF, but nowadays it's the E. So WWE.
Is there a timeline in your mind that you're setting to try and make that run? Or how do you see it? Is it a couple years down the line, or? I would not have, if I was a WWE and I knew myself back then, I wouldn't have signed myself back then. I wasn't ready. I feel like I'm really prepared and ready now. Just with the training that I've received in California, and also with a company that I work for in Lucha Extreme. That's Manny Fernandez's company down here in Fresno, Merced area, or Fresno, California area. So, working with that company, and Manny Fernandez, for people that don't know, it's a Raging Bull. Manny Fernandez is a legend. So, just on a car ride with him, hearing stories of him and Dickie Murdoch and him almost getting killed in Puerto Rico and all that. It's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Just
just the car ride alone of his stories is helps me get better at certain things, and then just the small things that he does, like at the shows and at training and whatnot. It's amazing.
Well, you know what? Before we get into all the contact stuff and that, is there anything that you want fans who maybe don't know you as much, or even your fans who have met you a bit, is there something you'd like the regular person to know about Jeff Cobb that they may not know?
Not really. I mean, I'm more like what you see is what you get. I'm not a guy that'll go out and party till 3 a.m. because my main focus is the WWE. So I tend to kind of put my time frame for the day around, training or, nutrition or watching some footage. So, I'm more of a homebody when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, I want to be the best, and I'm not going to, my mom always told me nothing good happens after midnight. So, I don't need I don't need that life. I was young once, and I know what I want, and, nothing's going to get in my way to do that,
Well, excellent. You know what? If fans want to get to know more about you, are there YouTube videos of you floating around out there?
Yes. It's funny, when you type in Jeff Cobb on YouTube, I guess I'm a teacher somewhere, but if you type in Jeff Cobb Wrestling or Mr. Athletic Jeff Cobb, you'll see some great links. So,
excellent.
Yeah, so it's Mr. Athletic Jeff Cobb or Jeff Cobb Wrestling. Those are the two best you can find.
Now,
I sat at a computer and tried to type in all these variables, and those are the two best ones.
Okay. Now, if promoters or people need to get a hold of you or want to book you, how do they do that?
Well, it's weird because, like, there's Facebook has, like, contact me at Facebook, like Jeff Cobb. I don't know the address. I just know I have a Facebook. So you can contact me on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. Twitter is Mr. Athletic Jeff Cobb. You can come find me over there. I can give my cell phone out if you want me to. But
No, it's okay. I'm pretty sure they can go from there.
Yeah, well, I always put on Facebook, I use bookings by month and say, hey, listen, if you guys want to give me an opportunity or you want to have me on your show, just private message me. So, I mean, that's probably the best way to get a hold of me is through Facebook and private messaging. That way I can give you a personal email account or a cell phone if need be.
Well, you know what, Jeff, we want to thank you for taking this opportunity to come on the show. It's been great getting a chance to know a little bit more about you, learning more about the work you're doing. And we really hope that we get a chance to see you some more in the future. And we just want to wish you the best of luck. And once again, thank you for just being here.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. This is like a really great concept. I mean, it takes a smart person to get it off and running, and shoot, you're the right man to do it, man. So. I congratulate you for doing that, and I really thank you for having me on here and just giving me a chance to to get some exposure. And it's just I'm not asking for a handout. I'm looking for an opportunity. That's all I'm asking. That's all I want.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's Mr. Athletic Jeff Cobb. Take a look at him on YouTube. Take a look at Facebook. This guy is an exciting wrestler. I've seen him a few times. He's worth the money. And hopefully we'll see him around the U.S. and around North America in the near future.
Gutbuster Radio.
Hey, Otto, check this out, man. Hoodies from
Squared Circle. I love it. You know what I even like better? Check it out. The hats. They've got everything you need in apparel here at Squared Circle.
Gutbuster Radio.
Gutbuster Radio is produced by From the Second Row Productions. For show notes, links, and other great independent pro wrestling radio shows, visit our website at www.secondrow.ca. Executive producer for Gutbuster Radio is Thomas Little. Gutbuster Radio is hosted by the legend T. James Logan. Gutbuster Radio is copyrighted and cannot be used in whole or in part without express permission from the Second Row Productions. Sharing is okay via our website or through our Facebook page. Don't forget to like our Facebook page at From the Second Row. Post-production services are provided by Brass Media Canada, who specialize in web content creation. Let Brass Media Canada put you and your customers into conversation mode. Find out more at www.brassmedia.ca. From the Second Row Productions and Gutbuster Radio would like to thank the independent pro wrestling stars who take time to talk to us. Show your support for independent pro wrestling by attending live shows wherever you are. Always remember, you can play football, soccer, hockey, and rugby, but you can't play wrestling.